In today's video, we take you through some diff upgrades for your Commodore. Let's go.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Alright, it's Fred here from Clooney Garage. We've got another top 5 video for you today. It's all about the differential upgrades for your Commodore. So you can have all the power in the world, you can put down your 1000 horsepower, and in the case of our Ute, just back from Sydney Motorsport Park, you know, a little bit more modest, probably nudging up towards that 450, 500 mark. But at the end of the day, there's no point having grunt if you can't get it to the ground. So we've done all these upgrades that we're going to share with you today on today's video. And, you know, they aren't in order in terms of what you should do. They're all different upgrades for you to consider. We'll give you the criteria, we'll do the mods, let's go. Okay, so our first mod is around the bushing and your cradle around the subframe to make sure your diff stays in place. Now, you might be thinking that's a bit of an odd mod. This is a very underrated mod. It's a mod that we've done on both our cars, the VF and the VE, and it's because you want to make sure your pinion angles and all the geometry of your diff doesn't change, because these diff bushes can get cracked, corroded, and break apart, and that you'll get all these clunking noises, and your diff won't, obviously get the torque to the ground in its most efficient manner. So there's a couple of manufacturers for these diff bushes, SuperPro, Nolethane, and there's a few more out there if you want to do some research yourself. Pretty cheap and cheerful little upgrade, it'll be less than 500 bucks, and obviously you've got to get them fitted, and that'll stop all the clanking in between hard gear changes and around the track, and it's well worth it. No matter what other mods you do in today's video, get yourself some diff bushes. Alright, our next mod, it's one of Frankie's favourites, diff gearing. And this sort of mod can make your car go from 0 to hero very quickly without touching the horsepower. So what do we talk about with diff gearing? It's the ratio of the drive going to your final wheels. And typically what happens is that you're in these Commodores, you've got a automatic diff gear ratio which is very, very low, and I think it's about 308 from memory, into the final drive, whereas the manuals is about 345. So one of the upgrades you can do straight away is go up to a HSV gear set ratio, which is 3.7, and we've done that on the VF Clooney Redline car, and that made an immediate impact to acceleration and how the car actually felt. But you can go even higher than that. So some diff ratios for aftermarket gear sets that you can get include 3.7, 3.9, and Frankie's favourite of 411s, and that made his Falcon Coupe go very quick. So yeah, these are a very cheap and cheerful way to get extra oomph and acceleration into your car. One of the things you've got to be careful though, if you just want to still drive around at the highway in 6th gear doing 1100 RPM, that's not going to happen when you start changing your gear set. So at higher speeds, the car will rev higher. So it's a bit of a trade-off there, but you'll get a lot more acceleration and fun in the process. So diff gearing, great mod. Okay, this next mod may not sound a bit of a mod, more of a replacement, is you can actually buy the whole diff assembly from Walmart and actually put it in. And that will be a fantastic mod over and above probably your your worked LSD set of clutches in your existing diff center. So a lot in the previously, a lot of people would actually, get the diff rebuilt and put new clutches in it and all that. For the cost and the drama and consumables and labour to do all of that, sometimes it's actually better off like going to Walmart and buying a whole new brand new unit with everything in it ready to go, or go to the wrecker, get something that's out of a car that's second hand already, save yourself a bunch of money in the process, and that can actually be a really good upgrade in its own right. So, and the other double whammy you can do that is actually get a diff that actually has got the gear set that you want as well, so you can tackle the previous mod that we just talked about. So, again, that's not a bad mod, and it's probably a little bit more expensive than obviously some of the earlier mods we've just talked about, but it's a good bang for buck anyways. Okay, this next mod is getting for the serious characters now, and we're talking about replacing the entire diff center with some type of locking device. So we'll talk about the different flavors of locking, and there are two that we're going to cover here today that we've got personal experience with, the VF and the VE Commodore. The first is the TrueTrack. Now in Australia, the TrueTracks that we've seen that are most popular are the Eaton TrueTrack, and then there is the Harrop TrueTrack, which actually uses a lot of the Eaton components anyway, but it's got some Harrop modifications to it as well. Now, what is a TrueTrack and how does it work? It does away with the LSD clutches that we've mentioned previously that you get in the standard diff, and it actually introduces planetary helical gears to really start to use mechanical componentry to lock that part of the diff that's actually slipping, whereas you would use traditional clutches with a normal traditional diff. Now, TrueTracks are not a bad way to go if you've got moderate power and you're looking for some spirited driving on the street, and you're probably looking at 500-600 horsepower being sort of the upper sort of limit that they recommend for the TrueTrack Centre. I could be wrong. There could be other people that have got 1,000 out of it, but we'll talk about what we've done for our 1,000 horsepower car in a second. But yeah, we've got a TrueTrack in the Ute, and as you could see at City Motorsport Park around some of those tight corners, we weren't lighting the outside wheel up around. We had lots and lots of mechanical grip in the back, and yeah, so it performed faultlessly as well. And it's also good if you want to do a burnout at the front of Mitchell as well, for those that are less inclined. Okay, if you want to step up the game, you want to go to something bigger and better than a TrueTrack, and this is what Gentech have recommended for us for the VF, and that's to go with the WaveTrack. They are a lot more expensive, but you can throw a lot more horsepower at them. I'm hearing somewhere in the order of 1,500 plus is sort of the upper limits, and the way they differ from the TrueTrack is, and I've got some pictures that I'm flashing up here at the moment, is in the centre of the diff, they've got these elliptical waves that work together, and it's quite technical. You've got to look at the technical data sheets that come on the WaveTrack website as to exactly how this zero loss patented technology works. It's pretty interesting actually when you have a look at it, and I can tell you in anger it works. Out on the track too with our car. And also the material they use a bunch of case hardened steel in the body. They've got carbon rods that sit inside it, and ARP fasteners and billet center. Like, it's got all the fruit in it. So if you really want to step up the game and you've got the budget to support it, go with the WaveTrack. We have, and we're really happy with it. Okay, so for all you drag racers out there, I haven't forgotten you. The next upgrade and our final upgrade in today's top 5 video is to go with a solid live axle rear end, typically like a 9-inch Ford type assembly. Now, why would you go down this path? This is if you want to, as I mentioned, have a live solid rear axle rear end suitable for drag racing. These Ford 9-inch diffs can take a hell of a lot of punishment in terms of the way they get treated, down the quarter mile or 13-20 feet and all that sort of stuff. Probably not best suited for circuit racing. You could use the other mods that I've just talked about as well. And the sort of manufacturers that you can retrofit one of these Ford 9-inch solid axles in are companies that specialise in this sort of material, like Castlemaine Rod Shop, and there are a few others out there as well. And there's lots of differential places that will do a Ford 9-inch conversion for you. Again, pretty expensive, and again, probably not something that I would do for a street or a daily driven car. But if drag racing is your thing, and you want to go something like that, and then you can go to your heart's content and put a spool in it and all that sort of stuff, and you can have some serious locked up fun. One mod we haven't talked about today, which just gets a bit of notoriety on the internet, is the old welded diff. We don't recommend doing that. Sure, if you want to do that with your Barra Fords and all the rest of it, go for your life, but don't ever do that to a Holden Commodore. That's a shocking mod. Alright, hope you enjoyed today's video. We haven't done a top 5 video for a while. We've got a few more top 5 videos coming up for you to do as well, including some top 5 brake mods, suspension mods, and we want to take you through all the mods that we've done to get the Ute doing the sort of time it's doing at City Motorsport Park, including some of these extra suspension mods and these camber tops, which I'll take you through. On that note, don't do it for Dale, do it for Yoda. Catch you later.